Most people believe that in order to attract the right relationships, they need to write a list or just go out there, take action, and find those people. And I think we've got it all wrong. It's really about asking a different question, which is, am I an energetic match to the people that I desire? And that's what today's video is about when I share about why you are attracting the wrong people into your life. So if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Elika. I'm an energy strategist and a trusted advisor for purpose-driven leaders who want to create so much impact in the world, and they want to do so not at the expense of their health, their relationships, or just even their inner clarity. So if you like the sound of that, what are you waiting for? Subscribe so that you can stay on top of the insights that I share in these videos. So I want to start firstly with, why are you attracting the wrong people? Um, so there, for most of the people that I work with, which are typically high achievers that have achieved success in one area of their life, definitely, and maybe multiple areas, but want to experience it across all areas of their life, they have on that journey experienced some micro traumas, sometimes actual real big traumas, but ultimately the memory has been programmed with previous experiences that were not favorable to attracting something that is very different to what they've experienced. And you know, when I think about my own journey here, I remember when I attracted the very first partner into my life, that I was in a time where I was really needing to get out of the environment that I was in and be in a more safer and consistent environment. So I personally feel I attracted somebody that had safety, that had consistency. But for me, what that did was it showed me all the places where I was not creating safety within myself. And so I was looking for somebody else to hand over. Here is that platter of safety. Now you get to feel it. And it never really works that way. So sometimes our own experiences are shaping us to attract something that is actually what we want, but shows us that we haven't actually cultivated that in the right way. It's a bit like, you know, you want to go live in a mansion, but you live at home with your parents and you've never lived alone. You don't just all of a sudden get a mansion and then know how to run it, know how to have cleaners and gardeners and people that take care of it and maintenance and pay bills. You actually have to cultivate that first. And when I think about when I think about the relationship that I'm in now, my new marriage, I know that the difference for me has been how much I've had to cultivate inside of myself, a deeper understanding of my own belief systems to understand what is possible outside of myself before being able to attract it. So, you know, depending on your experiences, they will have really shaped you. Now, I want you to just imagine that the first people that teach you about relationships is your first guardian. So for most of us, that's our parents. And for a lot of us, we are missing a parent on that side, either because they were emotionally absent or even physical absence in my case. And therefore, that original experience of being taught relationships as a child, it's not necessarily achieved by our parents. So we then go look out into the world and we are then experiencing that through our first relationships. And so when I think about that, for me, you know, I learned so much about myself through my friends because they were able to show me experiences that they had, for example, of having both parents. They were able to show me how they responded to men in their lives, which I didn't really have a lot of experience of that as a younger woman. And you know, then you think about teachers, you think about your spiritual or religious beliefs and scholars and mentors that you looked up to. Then, of course, as you go through your early career, you start getting more leadership qualities in how you are managed, and you get to see how you interact with discipline and being guided and being led in that way. And so, these early experiences are all going to shape how you respond to other relationships and therefore how you show up. So it's really important first that you have taken some time to explore, what did I learn from my first relationships Some of the earliest relationships that I can experience are family relationships, personal relationships with friendships, for example, professional relationships, your first career, your first job experiences, and what that brought up for you. And I think that exploration, not think, but I definitely know that exploration will give you a lot of clarity around what your existing beliefs are. And so once we understand those early relationships, we have some context for what we're actually working with. So then we go and we go, okay, I want to attract a relationship. And you may not be looking at an intimate relationship. You may be looking at a new friendship. Like when I move from country to country, one of the first things I think is, okay, I need to have very deep, meaningful relationships that I've cultivated. So I look into the community and I look for places where they could have more depth. You may be thinking about your professional relationship. Maybe I know so many times in my career where I realized I really need to cultivate a better relationship with my leaders. It may be a collaboration or a business relationship where you're exploring, who do I want to partner with? Who do I want to grow and expand my professional network with? Business partner, or even just collaborations that grow your business. So there may be multiple different relationships that you are trying to attract. And when you have that intention, then you can start noticing the patterns that are showing up for you, that you've experienced similar feelings before. And that gives you the insights back to the reflection that you did. Because when you've done that reflection on what did you learn from your earliest relationships, then when you start going out there and having a clear intention of who you want to attract, then you can start noticing the blocks, the barriers, the behaviors, the experiences that you sense, that you have, and therefore be reminded of where they come from. And so when it comes to intimate relationships, I spoke in the previous video that I did. So if you haven't watched that video, I really recommend you watch the video that I did on how I attracted my healthy relationship, which led to marriage. But I talked about a love list because I absolutely loved doing my own love list and really cultivating it. And just so you know, it took me about 5 years between creating my first love list. There were definitely reiterations of it, and attracting love into my life, and then that led to marriage. And that was very intentional in taking my time to really work through that love list. But also, it's no surprise to me that when I created my love list, I had to do a lot of amends along the way because I had such strong beliefs around what I thought was possible around for me and what I'd experienced, and that what I would say that there was just such a big gap for me in those two things. So a love list is essentially a list of qualities that you're looking for in this person. So you're not going to write down, I want someone that's tall, or I want someone that is a size 8, but you may write down, I want somebody that represents safety. You may write down, I want somebody that is a growth mindset. You may, instead of writing down someone that is rich, you may write down, I want somebody that is generous. These are qualities that you're looking for that are deeply reflective of the values of a person. And so, I think back to my own love list, and in there was like truthful and or trust, and there was loyalty, and there was growth mindset, and there was a care about living a healthy lifestyle, and cultivating deep relationships. And I look at these qualities, and I then went out and tried to look for this person that had these qualities. And lo and behold, I felt so many experiences that I had met were just the opposite of it. So I met people continuously that were emotionally unavailable, and it was very hard to accept that there could be a part of me that wasn't showing up with full emotion, full emotional transparency because it was such a common theme for me, that one. Um, Integrity came up as a big one, and I had to really dive deep into, where could I show more integrity within myself. So once you've got this love list, you've got these correct attributes on there, you then are now in this process of looking at this list and asking yourself truthfully, where could I be the reciprocal, or how do I be the reciprocal of that? So the reciprocal is to be able to receive those qualities from somebody, that I show up as the energetic match by being that. So loyal for me meant, okay, how do I show you that when I say this is what our relationship is going to be, and these are the things that I can bring, and these are the ways that I'm going to honor our relationship, that I'm loyal to those things that I have said. Growth mindset was really about being open to all of the things that weren't in my essentials, my essential love list, but may have been desirables, and being growth mindset about those. So when I looked at integrity, there were so many places where I was like, would I want to be treated that way if I was this person? And I realized that in a lot of my experience, the answer was no. Like, I was asking for things that I couldn't show up in the same way. So the the understanding here scientifically around how frequencies work is really important. So understand that when you emit a frequency, the frequencies that are attracted to that are the ones that resonate similar or same frequency. So it's like, I was born in the 80s, so a lot of people don't always remember now, but hopefully you do, that used to have this TV, and it used to have an antenna, an aerial, and you'd move the aerial. I was really young by this point, but you'd move the aerial to receive signal so that you could change the station. You had to tune in to that frequency, the same as a radio station. You had to tune into that frequency to receive that channel, to receive the image on your TV. With a radio, you have to tune into the frequency in order to listen to that music. And so it's the same. It's so many of us are attracting people into our lives and going, oh my God, this person's emotionally available. This person's a narcissist. This person's not deep. This person's not loyal. This person's transactional. But we're not going, where am I transactional? Where am I not vulnerable? And therefore, I'm attracting people that are emotionally unavailable. Where am I not sorting out my financial literacy so that I become more financial stable, and creating a structure and support in my life that builds and creates wealth, but instead of asking for somebody else to provide that for me. So where am I, like, in scarcity mindset but wanting somebody that represents abundance? Where am I saying I want a good sense of humor, but I have no sense of joy in my life, or like ability to just enjoy the playfulness of somebody else? So this is about the frequency that you are, being an actual resonance to the frequency that you desire. And in human design, I love how in human design, when I look at my clients' charts, I like to look at the places where they have white centers, which is open centers, where they are receiving energy from outside of them. And I love that when they are looking at a partner, if they have access to the charts, it's great to be able to see where this person is the reciprocal in terms of their energy center. So where theirs are colored in compared to yours being white. So yours are open centers, and theirs are colored in, which essentially shows them that they have that consistent energy. And then seeing where the crossovers are. So where the crossovers are where you both are quite powerful in those areas. But then there are areas where they're both open. So two couples, for example, can have two emotional centers open, the solar plexus open, and that's going to make them highly empathetic. But that's also going to mean that they're bouncing off each other and amplifying each other's emotions, which can be very turbulent. So if you're looking for somebody that is emotionally stable, and then you have not worked through your own nervous system regulation and your own emotional management, and then you are both have open centers, you're both going to amplify what emotions each other experiences. So it requires you to have practiced a lot of emotional safety within yourself and nervous system regulation work before you're ready to be able to attract somebody that may have an open center when you have an open center. So this can be it. It could be sense of self, like maybe your partner has an open G center, which is your identity, and you do. And this can make you very much a chameleon, because you have that energy where you can be whoever people need. You can shapeshift very easily with the open center. And these people typically have a lot of self-worth issues. But so again, if you've not done the work to really honor yourself and have a lot of self-worth, worthiness, and you know that that's a weaker spot for you, and you attract a partner that has that open G center, then they're gonna reflect and mirror in you all of the parts of you that doesn't feel worthy for them, doesn't feel worthy for success, doesn't feel worthy of having health whilst being with them, doesn't feel health worthy of, you know, maybe collaborating together in business. Like this can come up so much in business relationships where you're trying to attract a business partner or a business collaboration and you've not worked through your self-worth. Then of course they just reflect all the parts of you that doesn't feel worthy, that doesn't feel you're good enough for this business partnership or for your clients, your joint clients. So they're in this element of your work to be a reciprocal. You have to understand that the relationships that you're attracting are just mirroring a frequency in you that's essentially, you could argue, a lower frequency that therefore is resonating with something that they have. And therefore the work here is to just go back and do it. So over the 5 years that I was working on my own level of intimacy, and knowing that I wanted to take my time, but my next relationship had to really meet me at a much higher level than I'd experienced before. I really took the time to notice in every relationship that I was attracting, what are the commonalities? And, you know, I personally have a big thing about injustice. I have a Libra moon and a Libra rising, and it's just a big part of my path is the path of relationships. So I could just see how this part of me kept on attracting people that needed a savior, somebody to save them. And of course, in my work, you know, it's closely linked to helping to guide others to their higher self. And then I really had to take a step back. And even in my existing relationship, I have to take a step back where I sometimes realize that I'm trying to fix something that isn't broken. For example, you know, the person can be off that day. I've been having an off day and I need to explore, go deep, ask questions, figure out what's wrong, and it's just not needed. Like nothing's broken, so therefore nothing needs to be fixed. And so, you know, when I looked at attracting relationships, I also found in business relationships, I felt like I was the person that was coming with all of the resources, and that the people that I was attracting couldn't meet me at the same level with the resources that they had. So that to me was like, oh, I give you my resources. So then the reflection is within there is what part of me doesn't feel worthy to attract somebody that has all the resources as well, that's done the work in growing and expanding their business. And therefore our collaboration is complementary to each other, not I feel drained in giving you all of my resources. So mirroring is such beautiful work to do, and like, you know, going out there and noticing what is this person bringing up in me and using that as your exploration to go back to what you learned about your first relationships, and then going to do that work around it. Or, you know, and I really recommend having somebody to guide you, and you know, this is deeply the work that I'm doing with my clients. I really cannot see how one could really do this deep work without somebody else outside of you seeing you, and you being able to be seen properly by somebody else, and then your own self-inquiry, being able to go deeper with that other person and showing and them seeing where those patterns are showing up for you in multiple ways. It's so often hard for us to see this shadow part of ourselves, because it is the part of ourselves that's very hidden, and therefore it's the part of ourselves that it's really not easy to access alone. There are many things that we can do alone, and I think we can do reflective work alone, and we should do reflective work alone. We should take some time out and be with our inner mind and just explore what conversations we have with ourselves. But I think there is a point where you want to explore that with somebody else to allow that clarity that allows you to shift your behaviors and therefore shift the frequency that you operate from and therefore attract at a higher level. So mirroring and getting guidance on mirroring, I think, is an important part. And then I just want to remind you that when you do this work, it is really for every area of your life. It's like when you are trying to attract healthier relationships and you're reflecting on, I keep on attracting the same kind of person, then you really want to know that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So you want to look at um, what is the most important relationship that you want to attract now, whether that be an intimate romantic relationship, a new friendship, a business relationship. But you want to know that if you have one of those elements and you're trying to attract in another, there is in all of those relationships, the same wound will exist. And so the beautiful thing about this work is that it gets to transpire that every relationship that you already have and that you want to attract gets raised. Because as you raise your frequency, you also raise the frequency, the operating system of the people that you spend the most time with. So if you are attracting a business relationship and you're noticing that there's a pattern in the type of people that you attract and they just take from you your resources, then you will probably see that an element of that is happening in your personal relationship. And that by shifting and doing that deep work there, you can also transform and really achieve a different experience in your personal relationship that's much more congruent with the higher expression of yourself. So that's all I want to share on this video today. And I hope this is just giving you a little bit more deeper insights as to why you may be attracting the wrong person. And the exercise here is really write your love list and look at the qualities and make sure they're really qualities that really are deep in the values of the person. And look at that and just sit with it and ask yourself, how am I representing that quality myself? And where could I grow or expand to deepen how I represent that quality? That is the deep work to start with to do this. And if you want my guidance and support on it, then obviously reach out. I always say that the best place to learn a little bit more about the qualities of what it takes to shift your energy and operate from the highest frequency of yourself is to sign up for my newsletter. I put all of that in my newsletter when I'm talking about how I do my weekly energy audit and just sharing my life experiences. It's just a much more accessible way for me to share this work. So you'll see details of that in the description box. And if you like this video and you feel it has given you value, give it a like so that more people can hear about this work. And I just love talking about all things that are related to human energy optimization and how we can really shift our energy to make a bigger impact in the world through all the things that we touch and experience by our own energy just being really in the highest frequencies. So I hope you enjoyed this as much as I've enjoyed sharing this, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.